All right, so we're going to be teaching on Google Sheets today. Google Sheets is very similar to Microsoft Excel, which a lot of people are definitely familiar with. But the big advantage of using Google Sheets is that if you have a Gmail account or if you have a Google account already, it's free. And just like Microsoft Excel, which you have to pay for because it's part of the Microsoft suite, you can do calculations, you can use it to analyze data, you can use it to sum or average numbers. A spreadsheet, there's just so many different things that you can do with a spreadsheet. And so we'll look at some of those things today and how to use a spreadsheet in Google Sheets. Again, I'll be showing how to do it from a computer, but I'll also talk about how to do it from a phone. 'Cause I know a lot of folks are accessing their Gmail accounts and their Google accounts from their phones. And so in that case, you would just want to open up or download from the App Store. I think on Androids, they call it Google Play Store. So you would just want to download like the Google Sheets um, app and then log in using your Google account or your Gmail account. So if you have a Gmail account, for instance, then that is a Google account. Gmail is just one thing that you have access to if you have a Gmail account or a Google account. So you can use your one Google account to access all kinds of things. Hey, Edward, how's it going, man? Um, and so that's the beauty of having a Gmail account is it's really a Google account and you can do so many different things with it. Hey, Edward, how are you? Good to see you. Um,
Thank you.
Good to see you, sir. And so, yeah, using your Google account, it just gives you access to all kinds of fun stuff. And so, again, today I'm going to be demonstrating how you would want to use a laptop in order to access your Google Sheets. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay. And let's see, is it working? There we go. Looks like it's recording. Yep. Okay. So you guys can see my screen, right? Just want to make sure before I keep going.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And so what all I did here is I'm using Google Chrome, and I'm just going to go ahead and log into my personal Gmail account right here. So I have a bunch of different Google accounts. So this is one thing that happens with Google is once you sign in, you can kind of link your Google account to this particular web browser. So again, like if I open up Chrome here, it's like, oh, which Google account do you want to use? Because our business accounts here, the Summit Support, this is our business, me and my wife, Erica. So we have our Summit Support emails. We have her personal email, Mission Africa's. I have my personal email here. So I'm just going to go ahead into my personal email file, and you're going to see like, okay, so I'm in my Gmail, right? And we're all very familiar with this. Shows that I'm active and I know that I'm logged in over here because it's got my photo. So we know that we're active and we're good to go. And so to access and get to Google Sheets, though, you just want to come over here to these 9 dots. You see these, like it's 9 little dots, and it kind of makes a square over here on the far right next to your face and your name. So if you click that, it will show you all the different other apps available in Google in the Google Suite. So a suite is a collection of related apps. SUITE, suite, SUITE is a collection of different apps that are related. And typically, if you log into one, you'll be auto logged into the other one. So you don't have to keep logging in. Again, because these all fall under Google, as you can tell from the color schema, the green, yellow, red, and blue is kind of Google's signature color scheme, right? And so I'm already logged into Gmail. So now I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to scroll down. And here you see these ones right here. These are your productivity apps. So you have Slides, which is like PowerPoint. Docs is kind of like Microsoft Word. You got some finance things here, but I want to use Google Sheets. So I'm going to click that. Notice that it opened up a separate tab. So here I have my Gmail tab, but it opened a separate tab for Google Sheets. And in Google Sheets, you can see here, I can create a new document right here. And again, just to stop and back up, you can do this same thing on your phone. Okay. So let's say again, you want to access Google Sheets on your phone. You would just need to go to the Android Google Play Store and look for Google Sheets. You should see an icon that looks like this green one right here. Download it, log into that app using your Google login information, and it should look very similar to what we're looking at here. And so this is a really cool way to come in and just kind of see what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and just do blank. Okay, so I'm going to create a brand new spreadsheet. And so this is a spreadsheet, or a worksheet rather. Now, a worksheet, one of the really great things, I'm going to hit got it there. One of the really great things here is this is one sheet. So let's say you wanted to do a budget for each month of the year. So this would be June, right? So you can just start typing and it puts the information in there. So let's do June 2023 budget. Okay. And so we have a little our title there, and let's say we just wanted to do something like description and amount. And then under description, we would just put like income from work, and maybe we just start putting some numbers. Let's say you make $4,000 a month, and then we would have income from let's say selling flowers or something. So you had two income sources, and that's $350 a month. Okay. And then you would put your expenses. So how do you just put an expense? Just put in something like, let's put in housing, let's put in car payment. And I'm just hitting enter to go down to the next line. So I put in car payment, I hit enter. Let's put in food, enter, travel, enter, internet, enter. Let's go with what other expenses? Cell phone, vehicle insurance. Okay, and let's say school. Let's say you're in school. So these are our expenses. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and, because this is money, right? We want to make sure that we format this as currency right here. So to do that, you just click the B. So if I click the B, notice that it highlights that entire column, like all the way down to infinity. It highlights that column. And then all you have to do is just click that little money sign. You see that right there in the header, and it says it's going to format it as currency. So when I hit that, watch what happens to the 4,000 and the 30 and the 350. So it makes it into now a currency figure. So now, again, because I formatted the entire column, anytime I add a new number in this column, it's going to automatically format that as money. And so obviously I just put these here as income. So now housing, I need to put a negative because that's going to reduce my income. So I'm going to put a negative. Let's say your housing is $1,500 a month. And then I'm going to put negative, how much is your car payment? Let's say 250, food 600, because you got a family, travel. That would probably include gas and maybe any travel. So let's say, I don't know, 300 a month. Internet, 100. Cell phone, 120. Family plan, $60 for insurance, and school is, let's say 185. So you have all your numbers here, okay? And you have, again, your income is the positive, and then the negative is all of these things. So because you put in that negative, we can actually just sum up these numbers, and it'll tell you the difference. So it'll tell you how much money is going to be left over at the end of the month if you stayed within this budget based on the income and the numbers that you input onto the spreadsheet. And so to do that, let's see, there's this function here, the E. So again, notice that I am right under the last entry. So I'm right there. And when you hit E, let's see what happens. That is for function. So what is a function? A function is just basically a math formula, right? So like, hey, I want the average of a list of numbers, or I want the sum, or I want the total, or I want you to just count how many expenses I have. I don't want to know the total. I just want to know how many expenses do I have, something like that. So we're going to hit functions and see it gives me a long list. There's all kinds of functions in here, but we just want a sum. So I'm going to click sum, right? So we have sum, we have average. Average, of course, is going to add up all the numbers and then divide it by however many inputs to give you the average of all those numbers. Count is just simply going to count how many numbers you have. So let's do actually count really quick. So I'm going to do count, and then I'm going to see it puts in the count, and then I can just select the area that I want it to count. So I just clicked and held from 4,000 down to -185, and then I hit enter, and it says that there's $10. But it actually is not $10 because all I did was I counted how many inputs there were. So let's say you had a list, a customer list, and you were like, how many customers do I actually have? You could use the count function to count how many active lines you have. So that's what count is good for, but we don't want to do that in this case. Let's say we wanted to do, but we want to do sum. So I'm going to do sum. And again, see how it puts the formula down there, and then it's asking for the values that we want it to sum. So I, again, wanted to sum all of these 10. So I'm going to hit enter, and there is your number, $1,235. If you remain on this budget, is what would be left over at the end of the month. And so just to clean this up a little bit, because this isn't a good looking spreadsheet yet, we got a little formula in here, or a function rather, but let's clean it up to make it a little bit easier to read. And so one of the first things I always do is this June 2023, I want to center that and make it bold because that's the title of my entire table. So I want that to look nice and strong. So I'm going to just grab that and bring it over. And then I'm going to use this function here called merge cells, and it's going to merge that across. Did you see what it did there? It merged it into one big cell. So now it's not just an A1. A1 means column A, row 1. So if I said B2, then that would mean here, right? Because it's column B, row 2, B2. But in this case, we were able to merge A1 and B1 into one cell. But notice that it's still on the left and it's still not big. It's not looking like a title. And so we want to make sure that we make it look like a title. So I'm going to go ahead and hit here. You have a couple things you can do. You can make it bold, italics. You can change the color of the text. You can put in a fill color. I'm going to do all those things. So let's start with making it bigger. Right here, this is our font size. So currently we're using 10 font for this area. So I'm going to just hit increase, and notice as I hit increase, this part gets bigger. So let's go with 20. Okay, so that looks nice. Let's see what bold does. Even nicer. Let's see here. I don't need to make it underline or anything. I am going to go ahead and give it a background color. Let's go with a little bit of yellow. And then I am going to center it, and that is right here. So we have the horizontal alignment. So horizontal, of course, is left to right. Notice that right now, June 2023 is off to the left. I want it to be at the right in the middle of my spreadsheet. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to do center. And now it goes to the middle. I'm actually going to make it a little bit bigger too. Why not? We got plenty of space, right? Let's go with 30. All right, so we got our title done now. And now we also want these to stick out, don't we? Kind of our headers, which telling us what each column means. And so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a little bit of bold. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to center it. Let's put in some color probably. Maybe we'll just change the color of the actual letters. I want to make it a little bit bigger because I want those to stand out. And then down here, we've got all of our numbers. I'm going to just highlight because I want to put some boxes. I want to put some lines around all of this. That makes it look a little bit cleaner in my opinion. And so to do that, you just select the area where you want the boxes. So let's say I selected this entire area, and then I came over here to where you see borders. And then if I do this, see this one that says outer borders? That means it's just going to put one border around that whole block that I selected. So let's look at that. So you see how it put like a border around this whole area here. I want to just zoom in a little bit. Sorry, guys. Gotta move this. Let's just zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Okay, there we go. And so, yeah, so we see right here, we put the border here and it just made one big border around the whole thing. But I want lines in all of these. So I'm going to select it again. And this time I want to do all borders. So it's going to put a border around every single thing, right? And I like that. And then I like to, because this is our total, so let's give this a title, total remaining funds. And let's give that a little bit of color because let's go with green for money. So that'll be our line down there. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the box. And I'm going to make it like a dark blue color. And let's make it a little bit bigger too. A little bit bigger. Same thing, dark blue. So now we got a little bit better looking spreadsheet here. Again, we just use the sum function. If you ever want to see where a number came from, so here you can see we have 4,000. Up here, this is called the formula bar. Up here, you can see we just put in 4,000. You can see 350. Here you can see we put in negative 150. We put negative 1,500. B14 right here. Okay. When we come to B14, we can see that it's summing B4 all the way down to B13. What does B4 to B13 mean? That means everything from here, which is B4, down to B13, right down there. And that gives you a total of 1,235. Okay. Let's look at a couple other functions here really quick. Up here, you can see you can change the decimal place. So let's say you didn't want to work in pennies. Let's say you just wanted whole numbers. You could, again, click this and then you could change the decimal point. So if I click this one, it reduces the decimal point. See now we got rid of all the decimals. So we're just working in whole dollar amounts now. But obviously, when you're working in currency, you typically are probably going to have the decimal points there. So we don't want to mess with that too much. And there you go. And so this now is a nice little spreadsheet. I would come down here to the bottom and I would call this June. So all I did was just right click the arrow there. It's where it says sheet 1, because we're going to add multiple sheets here in a moment. And then you just do a normal left click and do rename. And we call it June 2023. Okay. Now I want to do a budget for July, but I don't want to have to recreate this whole thing, right? That took a little bit of time to do. Wasn't very efficient to like recreate it over and over manually. And so now you can just come down to June 2023 and you can do copy to a new spreadsheet. I'm sorry, let's duplicate. So now June 2023 looks like this, but this one we're going to call July. And then I'm going to rename it July 2023. And now we have our July 2023 tab. Notice that it's blue when I'm on that tab. When I go back to June, you can see and verify I'm on June now. So back in July, let's say our income went up a little bit. And let's say that we spent a little bit more in travel because we were going on a trip that month. So we spent 1,500. And so you can see, and this is one thing I really love about a spreadsheet is it changes the total as you're going through. So let's say school went up because you had to buy books. So if I put like a negative, I don't know, a negative 980, let's say you had to buy a lot of books. You see that it automatically upstates the total of what's remaining and it comes down to 740 now. And so It's really easy to adjust the formulas and stuff once you get them in there. But the perfect thing that it does is it'll adjust all that for you. Okay. So now that we have, and you can continue to do that, right? You can duplicate this spreadsheet as many times as you want. Matter of fact, one really cool thing you can do, let's say you wanted to bring over the remaining funds from July. So remaining funds from June. All you want to do is right here, because we're on July, but let's say you want to bring over the total from June and see how much combined you would have left from June and July. So now here, I can just say equals. Then I can actually go back to the June sheet, click this, and hit enter. And it brings over the amount. And now I can total up those two amounts. Let's see. Right there, E, I'm going to sum. I'm going to sum these two, hit enter. And so month from June, I saved $1,235, and in July, $740. So this now is the total that I would save between those 2 months if I stuck to my budget. So again, it does all the math for you, and it's really nice and easy. And this is a free tool that you already have access to if you're using a Google account, which I know most people are. So once you get your everything done here, um, that is when, let me just go ahead and make it a little bit bigger here. Okay, so notice by the way, when I hit this little arrow over here, it brought down all this top stuff. This is important and you need this so that you can save your document. So once you have your document, if you can't find it, like the save area, and you just have these up here, just hit this drop down arrow over here on the right. It says show the menus, or you can hit what it says there. It says Control Shift F. So let's try that. Let's do Control Shift F. Yep, works fine. So it shows that I'm still in my Google account, but this doesn't have a title. This is still called Untitled Spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and give it a name. We're going to call it June and July Spending Budget. Hit enter. So now that's there. And this is beautiful, guys. This is not saving to your computer, by the way. This is going to be saving to your cloud. So it's going to save basically to your Google account. And so you can access it anywhere. You can access your Gmail, or you can anywhere you can access the Google app. So you don't have to be on a specific computer, like it's saved to the computer. No, this is saved to the cloud. So saved to your account on the internet. So you can always access the document from anywhere. And so once you have it named right here, then you can just come back and you can hit Sheets Home. And this takes you back to the landing page where you can see now we have a document here called June and July Spending Budget. It's owned by, so see here it says owned by who? By me. Last opened today at 6/28. Okay, so if I click it, it'll just open right back up, right? Too easy. And then I'm going to go ahead and share it. So this is a lot of fun. So see up here in the right, you can share. So let's say you made like a really long shopping list on an Excel spreadsheet, and there were several other people that you were trying to put together, let's say a feast, and it's going to be a potluck, and everybody's going to bring something different. And you're trying to get everybody on the same page as far as who's bringing what. And so I'm just going to make a quick little sheet here. I'm going to call this one potluck. And this is really cool. So you can say item needed, who's bringing it. And you could say we need mac and cheese, we need ice, we need steaks, we need collard greens, we need soda pop, we need rolls, lasagna. I'm just putting in a long list of stuff. Spaghetti. This is going to be a crazy potluck. We need hot dogs, hamburgers, chips, plates, cups, napkins, and the list can go on and on and on, right? But once you get this list done and you know everything that you need, instead of having to call everybody and text everybody, hey, can you bring this? Can you bring that? You can just make this here on a spreadsheet. Let's just give it a little bit of formatting here really quick. Give it a little background, a little easier to see. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and just put this here. Just going to put in some boxes so we have everything right there. And now you can just come on over here to share. So I just hit the share button there and it says share June and July spending budget. And who do you want to share it with? So right now, I'm the only person. It says people with access. I'm the only person with access right now. I'm the owner. But who can I share access with? I'm going to add Erica, my wife. I'm going to add my wife's business email, and I'm going to add my business email. And we're all going to be added as editors. What are the options? You can make people a viewer. So if they're a viewer, they can look at the document, but they can't actually open it. They can't actually change it or edit it. Or for instance, they couldn't put their name next to something like, hey, I'm going to bring spaghetti. So I'm going to make everybody an editor, and I'm going to say, hi, everyone. Looking forward to the barbecue. Please put your name next to the thing you are bringing. And I'm going to hit send. All right, so it says access updated. So if I go back to share, now it shows that I am the owner and 1, 2, 3 other email accounts are editors. Okay, so I'm going to back out of this. I'm going to go ahead and close it. I'm going to close it because I invited my business account. So I'm going to go back, but now I'm going to log into my business account right here, info@summitsupportwa.com. So what does it say? It says, oh, Eric Hunter via Google Sheets shared the spreadsheet with you. So I'm going to click it, and this is what it's going to look like on the person that's receiving your email. And it says, Eric Hunter shared a spreadsheet. Eric Hunter, erichunter.4@gmail, has invited you to edit the following spreadsheet. And then you can see my message here. Hi, everyone. Looking forward to the barbecue. Please put your name next to the thing you are bringing. So if I click it right here, it's going to open up that spreadsheet. It looks just like the one that we were just looking at. But now I am logging in as another person, as my business. And so I'm going to say SSA, which is the name of our business, is bringing mac and cheese, and SSA is bringing lasagna. Okay. And that's it. You don't have to hit save or anything. Notice that it says saved to drive up here. So that goes away. When you see this cloud status up here with the check mark, that means it's saved. So watch what happens when I type. Watch what happens up here at the cloud. Let's say SSA is also going to be collard greens. Saving. Once it doesn't say saving anymore, it says saved to drive, it's completely updated and you don't need to do anything else from that point. So I'm just going to close it out. I'm going to close it out again. So I went ahead and updated it on behalf of our company, SSA. So now I'm going to go back to my personal Gmail account where I set up that list at. Log into my Gmail. Then I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go back to Google Sheets. And here we can see that here's the June and July spending budget. And we're open it up and we go to potluck, and there it is. We see that SSA logged in and they put in the things that they're going to be bringing to the barbecue. So I think that's really slick. I mean, imagine you're at like you go to a church and, there's 30 or 40 people and you're trying to figure out who's coming to the barbecue, right? So you could have one spreadsheet to say, yes, I'm coming, or no, I'm not. And then you could have another one that says, hey, we need people to bring all these things. Everybody, please sign up. And people can just click it on their phone. They can edit the spreadsheet, add their name on the thing that they're going to bring. And it just makes it easier on the organizer because people can go in themselves and add what they're going to do instead of the organizer having to call everyone or text everyone and try to figure out who's doing what. And so that is kind of the basic class on Google Sheets. So we talked about how to have a tab, multiple tabs, how to copy tabs. We talked about formatting your spreadsheet and given it some headers. We talked about how to center it, increase the font, we use bold. We even changed the text color. We used the merge cells function right here when we merged the July 2023 budget into two cells instead of one. We talked about how to format into currency, right, by highlighting an entire column and then you just hit that. We even talked about changing the decimal point, right? If you hit it twice, all the decimals go away. We can add the decimal point. We can even go, if you're really doing something very, kind of very detailed, you can add more decimal points if you want to get very specific. But for money, typically we're using 2, right? We talked about how to save it. We talked about how to share it. And we talked about just working with multiple people on these spreadsheets. And again, this is just a really, 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 really great tool that I would recommend that you get used to using. So the last thing I want to show you is I want to let's see if I can open up an Excel spreadsheet. So Excel and Google Sheets actually will work together. And Excel is, of course, like a Microsoft's way of doing this type of information. So I'm actually going to go here and I'm going to go to File. I'm going to open an Excel file, but in Google Sheets. So let's see, from my computer, and let's see, upload. I need to upload it from my computer. I'm going to do this one right here. So I'd say I just dropped it in and then it opens it up in a Google Sheet, which is fantastic, right? So I'm going to go here. So in this particular case, I have a spreadsheet and you can see here it has a bunch of information on spending. And all the columns are name, the age of the person, female or male, what was their highest level of education, their current income, what country are they from, what's their purchase frequency, so like how often do they go to a particular store and buy, and then how much did they spend over a 1-year time frame. And so there's a thing called data analytics where you can use all this type of data to do analysis. So typically in data analytics, we use spreadsheets. And let's say we wanted to do, we had this spreadsheet, and this spreadsheet, by the way, has, let's see how many rows. It has 1,001 rows, okay? So that's way too much information to try and look at manually with just your eye. You'll be exhausted, it's too much information. So you gotta find a way to like analyze the data using what we call a pivot table. And so I'm going to briefly cover that here really quick, and then we'll call it a night. And so a pivot table is going to be able to take all this bulk information and put it into a manageable way for you to understand what's going on. So let's say you were a data analyst and your boss came to you and said, hey, data analyst, here's a spreadsheet. I would like to know in our store who spends more. High school educated people, people with masters, or people with a bachelor's or a PhD. I would like to know, how much did each one of those education levels, because we're trying to figure out if we're going to target people with lower education or people with higher education. So you say, okay, thank you. I'll go do the analysis. And so to do that, you just want to click here. If you click in that top left button, so between the A and the 1, just to the left of the A, if you click that blank box, it highlights all the data in this spreadsheet. And then you can just come over here to insert. And I'm going kind of fast on purpose because this is going to be something you'll want to review on the video recording because this does take some practice. So you highlight all the information and then you go to insert and we do pivot table. And I want to put it in a new sheet. Okay. And so here, a new sheet opened up. And again, what do you want to see? Your boss wants to know who spends more money, highly educated people or the people that maybe have a lower education, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and click education. Let's see, rows, add education. And then for our values, I'm going to add spending. So here we go. There's our pivot table. So you see the pivot table analyzed all that data, and it determined that people with people who did not enter their education, let's go back and look. Did some people not enter their education level? Mm, no, looks like they all did. Let's try that again. One second. I'm just gonna highlight the entire table again. Okay, so there's the entire table. I'm gonna go to insert, go to pivot table, new sheet, create, and then for our values, we want spending, right? 19 million. And then let's see, for our rows, we want education. And then for our columns, let's say we wanted to also do like male and female. For our columns, we could do gender. So now this is a pretty cool spreadsheet. So it shows that we bachelor's degree folks, typically in bachelor's degree, it looks like females spend a little bit more than males. High schoolers, males tend to spend a little bit more than females. People with master's degrees, the females spend more than the males, and PhDs, the females tend to spend a little bit more than the males. But you see how it like adds it all up. And then if you want to see total spending by males, they give you 4.5 million. Total spending by females is 5,081,000. So really cool, easy way to do a pivot table, and it's fantastic because it analyzes all the data for you just using a pivot table. And so I'm going to stop there. That is a general way to use data analytics and creating pivot tables so that you can analyze large batches of data. Extremely, extremely useful. So with that, I will go ahead and call it a day. It's been a good training. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Any questions, anybody?